Well, welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for joining with us again today.
Yes, we appreciate you coming with us.
Yes, we sure do. We are just a little bit behind, so we appreciate you guys sticking with us, but we are back and ready. And so we are now on General Hospital the week of May the 4th through the 8th. And today, the day of taping is on May the 25th. Are you ready, Brandon?
Mom, I'm ready. Remember when we were caught up last time?
Yeah, I know. We were caught up last time. I'm guys. Life happens. So we are now back again, and we're going to attempt to be on time. Alrighty. So as we said, the week of May the 4th through May the 8th, I will say that Brandon and I have continued watching throughout. And so it was kind of hard to go back and to try to relive, per se, what we've already seen. But anyway, so this is the week where actually, no, this is the week that Carly was caught with Valentine by Brennan. And as we know, Brennan walked in and he kind of caught Carly. And so he was shocked at everything that he did see. And he was very shocked to see that it was Valentine who Carly was cheating on him with. Brandon, what were your thoughts when you kind of saw that scene?
I'm I'm somewhat surprised that they actually followed through with it. Not in the sense of that they weren't going to do it, but you know how the show does with its teases. So I'm glad Brendan finally found out the truth.
I I am too, Brandon, and I will say it shocked me. You were right. I was very surprised that they did follow through with this, and they did it very well. I mean, and then I was also surprised by the emotion that Brennan had. Also, you could tell that he really was surprised to see Carly, and that he was shocked, and he really didn't know what to do. And so it was fun to see Brennan the actor as he was kind of going through this. So that was very interesting. Jordan has already been in her car accident, and Curtis is looking for anyone who he thinks could have possibly have caused it, and so he is suspicious of Isaiah because Isaiah does have there's Isaiah's car was in an accident, and so he believes that Isaiah is the one who hit Jordan. Then we have or was the reason why Jordan had to swerve. Lucas is caught by Pascal. Lucas looks around Sidwell's house, and he is caught, and he and Pascal do have some words together. This is the week where Michael James Scott comes to Port Charles and he sings at the Savoy. So that was kind of fun to watch. I was not, and I probably shouldn't say this, I was not familiar with Michael James Scott, but I will say he did have a really nice voice, and so I did like the way he sang his song. Jocelyn, this was just a big week altogether because Jocelyn is caught by Cassius. He went to her house and he kind of asked her a lot of questions, and then he decided that she needed to actually be held taken captive. But they did have a drag out fight, which was kind of entertaining to watch. Sonny is now suspicious of Rick, and then Ava and Rick started having meetings together. Um, Curtis and Jordan is released from the hospital. Rick speaks to Liz, and he wants to take her out to go away with her for the weekend. Um, Ethan's in town, and Ethan finds out that Delilah has passed away. He finds this out when he meets with Brooklyn and Tracy and with Chase. And it was just during a casual conversation in which Brooklyn kind of lets Ethan know that she now has custody, or she's now a foster parent to Phoebe, and so she tells Ethan about everything that's going on within Phoebe's life, and that includes her mother. Um, let's see. Nathan actually goes to see Isaiah at the hospital. He's kind of beaten up, and so he needs some help. And Isaiah does take a look at him. Later on, Britt does come, and she kind of looks at his wounds also. Uh, Britt lashes out at Elizabeth, and then Carly kind of realizes that Jocelyn is now missing. Trina decides that she wants to sing. Cullum is released from the hospital, and then And then the end of this exciting week, what happens is that Valentine and Brennan, they have another confrontation together. Nina's there as a witness. This happens at Willow's house, and while there, Nina accidentally. Well, I shouldn't say accidentally. She kind of stabs Brennan with the shot that she should be giving to Drew, and therefore Brennan kind of passes out because of their same reaction that Drew has. Bran, I think I have covered just about everything. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. And at the end of that episode, also, Sonny and Rick kind of have a little confrontation. All right, so I think I've covered everything in that week. Brandon, what did I leave out?
Mom, I believe that was the gist of that week.
All right, like I said, it was a very, very busy week. And so let's talk a little bit about the superlatives of the week. For individual performance of the week, for me, I think Brennan is the one, to me, is the one who I thought was the true performer of the week. I did give I want to give shout outs to Nathan and Jocelyn too, because I thought they did really nice jobs performing together. But Brennan overall showed more emotion than I was ever expecting of Brennan. All right, Brandon, who are your performers of the week?
Yeah, so Jack Brennan is the top of the top for me. Right after that would be Valentine, with honorable mentions going to Carly and Nina.
All right, sounds good. All right, and then as for amusing scenes of the week, for me it was Jason and Ethan. They kind of had a little bantering conversation, which is kind of fun to watch. Um, Rick and Molly and Cody, when they had lunch together, that was, I mean, for cutesy, it was a cutesy conversation. And then Carly and Valentine in the attic together, they had a fun conversation. Believe that Carly gave Valentine a sandwich, and they just kind of had some bantering around that. And so those were my amusing scenes of the week. In this case, there weren't large scenes because there were more dramatic scenes that stood out this week. These are just kind of the cutesy in between. All right, Bram, what do you think about for cutesy scenes this week?
I would say in terms of cutesy scenes, ooh, I would say everyone's, I guess, adrenaline and running up to the time of Michael James Scott performing.
Okay, that works for me. And then actually, for touching scenes of the week, it probably is Brooklyn and Chase because they're still talking about adopting Phoebe. And so, with all the dramatic scenes, this was the touching one out of the group. All right, Brand, what about you?
I'd agree with that.
All right. And then, Brandon, I'm adding in a category I added in last time. And that was kind of my best scene of the week. And so there were a couple scenes to me that just stood out. First of all, it would be Valentine and Brennan. Their fighting scene, their scene with Carly, they just did a good job acting together for this week. And then we have Jocelyn and Nathan. No, I'm sorry. Then we have Jocelyn and Nathan slash Cassius. The the way they acted together, I thought they did a really really nice job together acting. So those were for the two very different scenes of the week for me. All right, Brandon, what were some of your best scenes of this week?
Well, I'd say that this is the week that book ended with with Jack Brennan being held at gunpoint. Beginning of the week by Valentine, end of the week by Valentine. First time with Carly, second time by with Nina. Uh, but I feel like those are the strongest scenes of of the week. But I would say that even with the in between, like you said, like with Cassius and Jocelyn, and even with Rick and Sonny, I feel that there were so many confrontations this week that they all really stood out.
Mhm. Same here, Brandon. As for fast forward scenes of the week, I did have Cody and Molly at the Day of the Savoy. I believe it's that day. Uh, Out of all the things that went on, they kind of had the most boring conversation. I liked them later in the week, but for that particular scene, it wasn't needed because there were other things going on. All right, Brandon, did you have any fast forward scenes of the week?
I'm going to say the same sort of thing, but I'm just going to say Cody. I was listening at least on and off with what Molly was saying, but I have no idea what Cody was saying. That was fast forwarded.
All right. And then we did have a missing scene of the week. You know, sometimes General Hospital do this to us. And for us, for at least for me, the missing scene of the week was Rick and Ava. Like I said, we have caught up, so we know what this was about. But I will say, in watching it the first time through, that I did have to wonder what did I miss, and I went back, and then I had to read what other people were saying online, and they were also saying they were missing this scene also. So that would be Rick and Ava and their conversation and whatever that Sonny believed that they were doing. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, I'd agree with that because I feel like we saw them together, but it wasn't real. It was enough to sort of maybe like raise an eyebrow, but not enough to say what's going on. But then when they started emphasizing, it's like, well, what were they talking about? I remember Ava not being pleased, but what are they talking about?
Yeah. And then as for where are they? Where is Michael, Jacinda, Ned, and Olivia? They're my where are they this week? Brandon, do you have any where are they?
Just the ones that you mentioned. I mean, we had a whole thing, I believe, the week beforehand where Michael and Jacinda, at some point in time, were having this whole thing about exposing Willow, and then
It disappeared. Yeah. All right. And as for next week, what I'm looking forward to would be Rocco and Dante, and then Brennan, and then because Brennan has, of course, now has this thing in his back, and then Rick and Sonny, because Sonny is now threatening Rick. And then I'm sorry, and I did leave something out that was very important, Brandon, and that's that Dante now knows that Rocco is the one who shot Cullum. That happened at the end of Friday of the week.
yeah, and Mom, I'd agree with. I mean, what you were saying, especially with the whole Rocco storyline. I'd say, can I add a thing that I'm not really looking forward to, just
All
as
right,
a
good.
whole?
What is that?
The whole thing of Curtis wanting to punish the world.
Yes, I agree with you completely there, Brandon. I don't know why they're taking Curtis in this direction. Um, you know, Curtis is a character I really like, and so I'm sorry that they are kind of leaning this way toward with him.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we're going to discuss this throughout the next sort of 2 weeks, if you will, discussions, but yeah, definitely. I don't know what in the world they're doing with this and why. Like, I don't know if Jordan will even be on the same side as him. I don't know. I just know that seems really cumbersome and confusing, but at least they gave him a nice day this week with him introducing Michael James Scott.
Yep, they did. They did with the Sip Boy. All right, Brandon. Anything else that you'd like to add in?
I don't think so. I mean, it was an overall very solid week and an exciting week from start to finish.
It sure was. Well, we thank everybody for watching today.
We look forward to seeing you next time.
All right, have a great day, everybody.